Hi everyone, Graham Cunningham for Whirlpool. Tremendous weekend's racing, not just at Ascot, but also at York. We have 8 from Ascot, 2 from York, 1 maiden, 5 handicaps, 2 Group 3s, 1 Group 2, and the jewel in the crown, the King George. John Blantz, which horse will make the headlines this weekend?
Well, I think Calandagan, he finally got that Group 1, didn't he, at Saint Cloud last time out. He's run some great races here at Ascot, and I think he's the one to beat in the King George.
Maddie?
Yeah, we had a French winner last year, Graham and Goliath. I think we're going to have another one in Calandagan. People think maybe he's a bit quirky after his Epsom run where he was second to Jan Brugel. More of that later, but I think he can get his revenge this weekend.
We're all in this together. Let's go with race 1 at Ascot this Saturday. It's a valuable maiden, not a lot of form to go on. It is that British EBF Crocker Bullteal Confide Maiden Stakes. Down the card, Dark Shore. David Egan for Jane Chapel Hyman, a good pedigree. Couple of Godolphin runners here. Harbour Lock and Words of Truth. Maybe it's significant that William Buick rides Words of Truth. King of Thunder represents Hector Crouch and Hugo Palmer. New Monarch has some runs on the board. Pretty strong form from Newbury. And Witchard didn't make the frame at Leicester, but he did show promise. We don't have too much to go on here, John Blant, so give me your educated guess.
Well, it's hardly that, but I think New Monarch did run very well in that race at Newbury. It was over the 6.5 furlongs, really good gate speed. I think you'll get into a good position here. It'll be tough for some of these debutants to pass. Do like Harbour Look's breeding. It's beautiful. Words of Truth's got a bit of form in the book as well. And Dark Shore cost a few quid too by Dark Angel. So it's one for the future, this race. But I think the horse with form in the book, New Monarch, is going to be the one they've all got to pass.
Maddie?
Interestingly, 4 of the last winners of this race all had experience before that. The 6 before them were all newcomers. So we know it's a strong race. Back in 2020, the 4th, Minzal, went on to win a Group 1. I've got New Monarch on top here. I'm going with the experience. It was a really good run at Newbury. That horse is regularly won by top-class horses. He didn't do a lot wrong in second. I like King of Thunder. I think that's a really eye-catching Jubmont pedigree for a Hugo Palmer horse. He's related to Midday, among others. Cheveley Park have got a nice bred horse in Dark Shore. Of course, not in those Cheveley Park colours anymore, but represents their family. I like his breeding. Jane Chapel-Hyman's operating at a really strong 33% strike rate. And also, you can't ignore Godolphin when they bring horses to Ascot. And I think Words of Truth, it is significant William Buick has chosen.
I'm not going to dwell on this. It's just educated guesswork. There's no question about it. But Wishart ran well in a strong form race at Leicester. So I'm going to take a chance on him in a race where the market could be very informative. John, very quickly, your numbers race 1?
Yeah, New Monarch on top. So 5, 2, 7 and 1 for me.
I'm with John. New Monarch, it's going to be hard to beat him, I think, with that experience under his belts. 5, 4, 1 and 7.
I love it when I have a different one than these two. 6, which hard for me. He showed promise at Leicester. That form has worked out really well. 6, 5, 1 and 7, but it's feel rather than form in race 1. Race 2 at Ascot on King George Day is a Group 3 race over 1,200 metres for 2-year-old fillies. It's the Sodexo Live Princess Margaret Stakes. Let's have a look at the runners and riders. Amberia is top of the shop, and she's a live one at a big price here. Irish Raider, Arugan Bay, Bella Lyra. Dance to the Music was pretty impressive first time out. Further down, Fitzella ran well at Royal Ascot on defeat. So did Flowerhead. Midnight Tango is progressive. Steyer ran well at Ascot and has won since. And Sukanya created a good impression first time, quickening out of trouble at Newbury. Let's get straight into the videos here. Royal Ascot form, strongly to the fore. Let's have a look at the Queen Mary Stakes, 1,000 metres. Flowerhead runs well at a massive price, but it's my contention, John Plants, that Steyer is every bit as good as her. When we pick up these two fillies in the closing stages, Flowerhead stays on pretty strongly, shows improved form, no question, but Steyer travelled better through the race than Flowerhead, and I know you disagree, but I fancy Steyer to win that little duel.
Well, they're both in my numbers, in fairness. I think they'll go well because I think the step up and trip will be absolutely ideal for both. They went a really, really strong gallop in this. They absolutely scorched the turf early doors. Both of them were somewhat outpaced, stayed on really well. Obviously, you mentioned Flowerhead, not fancied in the betting at all. I think there's going to be a strong pace in here with the likes of Arugan Bay, so it'll set it up nicely for both to run very well.
I'm going to lead you in, Maddie, to Steyer. We'll stay with her, stay with Steyer at Sandown. And she stalked and pounced, got out of her pocket to win that listed race. She's on the up and she's ready for 1,200, I think.
Yeah, she did really well there, Graham. She still looks a bit green at various stages during her races, but I think she's a real work in progress. She's got a lot of class, this filly, and she's in my numbers. I Taking a bit of a flyer on one here. You've mentioned John as well in the Irish Raider Arugan Bay for the Hearties. Won a listed race over 5 furlongs last time at Tipperary. Was really impressed with her there. That was a big improvement on what she'd done previously. I think the step up to 6 furlongs, which she's run over previously, is going to be in her favour. She was really strong at the line in Tipperary. And I just think when you get a filly at this stage in the season where they start to improve, it's hard to know where their ceiling is going to be. So I think she could run a very big race at big price.
Let's come back to the video. Dance to the Music has a very strong pedigree. I think she's a full sister to Space Blues, a high-class horse for Godolphin. She's been off the track for 10 weeks since that Newmarket debut, John, but it was a solid performance. She was nicely on top late on.
She was, yeah. It wasn't a particularly brilliant speed figure. Midnight Tango pulled really hard in that race. She seems to have lost that habit, which is good. More on her maybe a little bit later. I haven't got this filly in. It might be a mistake, but I just think that some of the others have then shown form subsequently in those big races at Royal Ascot, etc., etc. And as you say, she's had the break. She might be good enough here, but one or two have kind of improved and shown better form subsequently.
Okay, I'm going to deal with a filly called Fitzella, who came well fancied to Royal Ascot for the Albany Stakes. Pick her up, right of picture here, getting chopped for speed, entering the final furlong, but running on quite nicely late on. She emerged best of the fillies who raced to the 4 in a strongly run race that day. So put her on your shortlist as well. I'm going to throw this one to you again, John. It is the Empress Stakes at Newmarket. It's not a race with a strong pedigree of throwing up winners of this race, and it produced a bunch finish. But for different reasons, you and I both like a couple of fillies from this finish.
Yeah, I like Midnight Tango. She settled much better in the run here. It was quite a slowly run race, or the finishing percentage is much higher than it will be here on Saturday afternoon. I think the race will set up beautifully for this horse. As I say, relaxing better. She'll be sort of mid-division early. I think she'll stay on powerfully. She's really improved. I like her at a decent price.
When you have a look at that finish, make note of Amberia on the near side, showing good speed, travelling really well. She bolted up first time. I think she's strongly on the up, and she's changed colours. She's been bought by the American conglomerate Eclipse Thoroughbreds since, and the last time they bought one to run here was Quick Susie, and they went and won the Queen Mary Stakes with her. So let's have numbers one by one, John. This is a good betting race. Lots of fillies you could give a chance to.
Absolutely. You wouldn't be surprised if more than maybe half a dozen of them won, actually, in fairness. But I'm going to go for Midnight Tango. I think she is value. Hopefully she will be on Saturday afternoon as well. I like the 8 in there for second, Flowerhead. I've got Stayer in for third, and Fitzella in for fourth. So a lot of that Royal Ascot form to hold up, but one from a little bit left field for
Maddie, your Irish filly's going to be a price here.
I'm going very left field. Yeah, I think Arugan Bay is going to be a very big price. Number 2, she's on top for me, followed by 10, 4 and 9.
Taking a chance here. Number 1, Amberia has lots of speed. She looks a strong improver, and she'll be a price. 1, 7, 10 and 9 in a very, very competitive Princess Margaret Stakes. Let's dash into the Sky Bet Dash at York. This is a hot sprint handicap, sure to be a strong betting race. Let's have a look down the card. Toyotomi comes from France to a new yard with a big price tag. Alza here has been thriving, defying the handicapper time and time again. Corker is very talented, but he's a slow starter. El Monjed is super consistent. Pocklington is potentially still an improver. He's lightly raced. Further down the card, we've got Strike Red, quirky but capable. Ali's Dancer, bang in form at the moment. And further down, Rousing Encore is one to keep an eye out at a price. So let's start with Alsa here, who's really shot up the weights in the last few months. I think he's won 5 handicaps this year. I'm not quite sure whether he's handicapped to win this, but we pick him up at Ascot. This was a race where the high-drawn horses dominated Maddie Plale, and he took full advantage of the stands rail position.
He did, prominent throughout, and I thought this was another fantastic effort from him. You can see why he's racked up those wins, going up £17 since March with just an excellent effort in the closing stages. And it's hard to say he's not got even more under his belt off the back of this performance. He's up £3 now. I think this race could be quite interesting for a few of this weekend's contests, so keep an eye on it. I think he's in my numbers.
This Ali's Dancer has gone the opposite direction in the handicap. He got a fair way down in the weights when he went to Pontefract, John, and he took advantage of the handicapper's leniency.
He did, yeah. When I first saw this bit of form, I thought, well, Pontefract might not be particularly strong, and he's a bit, as you would say, jail or ale, this horse. But it was a really good run if you dig into the times. He got out really quickly, crossed them all, set a really strong mid-race gallop and stayed on very well. Gets a low draw, which is crucial down the straight track there at York. I think he's going to be beautifully positioned. And he won a cavalry charge here at York a couple of years ago off 91. Races off 91 again today.
Yeah, that £4 rise looks fair for him. Rousing Encore just faded late into 4th place in that Pontefract race. Let's pick him up at York at the May meeting. This was a hot sprint handicap. They all are at York. Pick him up on the far side, travelling nicely, winning decisively. And I think this is a horse who back at York has a solid chance. His trainer, Ruth Carr, has a fantastic record at York this year. She's something like 5 from 9, which is supernatural given they're all in hot handicaps. Let's try and nail this down, John. Elman Jed's another consistent horse. Give me your numbers, please, for this hot sprint handicap at York.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Ali's Dancer on top. I think he's got lots in his favour. Alza here, that was his first ever run at 5 furlongs the other day here. And it's interesting they've gone to York where they could have gone here as well. So he goes in there as well. I've also got the 5 and the 2 in there for 3rd and 4th. But this is all about Ali's Dancer for me.
Maddie, Pocklington is a village near York, but he's got more than that name to recommend him, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head because I can't believe he's not got much love so far, Graham. A really good 2-year-old, some good juvenile form to his name, and he returned last time with a 2nd at Newcastle off a mark of 94 and a bunch finish. Arguably very unlucky not to win. He's up £1, tremendously unexposed profile, and he's just a really talented horse. He's on top for me, number 6, followed by 1, 3 and 4.
Yeah, I like Pocklington as well. I just think Rousing Encore might be a bigger price and slightly better value. Pocklington was really well backed at Newcastle. Someone clearly thinks that's a well-handicapped horse. 17, 6, 5 and 8 in the Sky Bet Dash. Welcome back to Ascot. We're going to look at race 3 on King George Day. It is the Longines Valiant Stakes. It's a fillies race. Bear in mind, this is the round mile, 1,600 metres thereabouts on the round course rather than the straight. And a really interesting field here. Jancis comes from Ireland, and I think she's back at her correct trip. Royal Dress has plenty of miles on the clock, but she's never been better than she was at Pontefract last time. Bermuda Longtail disappointed at Epsom on Derby Day. Cajole has run extremely well in defeat, both at Royal Ascot and at Sandown. Chantilly Lace also ran an excellent race in Group 1 company at Royal Ascot. Further down, we have Glittering Surf and the unexposed, improving Pina Sonata. Let's start with Group 1 form. It is the round mile again, John, Royal Ascot Coronation Stakes. And considering she was in very deep, the lightly raced Chantilly Lace ran an excellent race for 5th.
Yeah, she certainly did. That's the key thing. This is a Group 1 race. This is Group 3 on Saturday afternoon, so it's not as tough a contest. She was a little bit wide in the run, a little bit outpaced, didn't really finish particularly well, but there were some really, really good fillies in that particular race. She's drawn 2 on Saturday afternoon. She should be able to take up a really good position in lesser company. She ran well in the 1,000 guineas before that. This looks an ideal spot for her.
Matty Pale, I'm going to give you a couple of cajoles. Let's start with the video of the Sandringham handicap. A messy race from a tactical point of view, but Cajole came out with her reputation enhanced. She went on to Sandown, beaten in a listed race, but ran very well.
Yeah, these were 2 really hardy performances. She's a big filly, and she just seems to be getting better all of the time. Very tough in defeat. I think this is going to take another pretty significant step up of improvement, though, but she should be thereabouts.
Her dam, Persuasive, was unbeaten at Ascot. She won the Sandringham, and she ended up winning the Group 1 QE2, beating Ribchester. So the Ascot pedigree is strong for Cajole. I'm going to take hold of Royal Dress here. She's been a pretty smart filly for a couple of years now, but she went to Pontefract last time. I think she really does relish a strong gallop. She got a true pace at Pontefract in the Pippalong Stakes, a listed race. Have a look at the way she takes command. She sweeps down the outside Maddie Plale. She bolts up, and with that rating of 106, she stacks up well with any filly in this race now.
Yeah, she's so solid, isn't she? One of those older fillies who you can really rely on. I think the ride was brilliant here, wasn't it? Full of confidence. She's a strong travelling filly. I think it's hard to see her out of the top 4 here, Graham.
Another good betting race, this, John. Let's have your numbers, please.
Yeah, Chantilly Lace on top, horse number 9, Royal Dress, for all the reasons that Maddie gave in there for 2nd. Do like Jancis, that Irish filly, for 3rd, and Cajole for 4th. So 9, 4, 2 and 8.
I'm going to put in a crazy one here, Graham. I really like the 10, Glittering Surf. She won 2 of her races at Kempton against a pace bias and looked a real top-class prospect. Went to York, where she was only 5th of 9 when she was well fancied. Bermuda Longtail was 2nd that day. She's a good filly as well. But I think, forgive her that effort, I think Owen Burrows knows exactly what he's doing with these later maturing fillies. Something was clearly not right at York. I think she's a real talent. Should be partnered by the Hong Kong-bound David Probert, of course.
Yeah, good luck to David. I'm slightly concerned that none of us have shown any love for Pina Sonata here. She is a big improver, but she's not in my numbers. 4, 9, 8 and 2, with Royal Dress on top of Chantilly Lace, Cajole and Jancis in the Valiant Stakes. We're going for Group 2 at York this Saturday. It is the Skybet York Stakes. Slightly different field than maybe one or two people anticipated, but the potential star is top of the shop. It's Almacam, Ed Walker's stable star. A real breakout performance from him at Sandown last time, ridden from the front, and he got the better, no less, of Ombudsman, who polished the form in major fashion at Royal Ascot. Certain lad tends to sneak under the radar, but he's a very solid older horse. Royal Champion is talented, but was pretty well beaten at Royal Ascot. And then we have Bay City Roller, Green Impact, and Stanhope Gardens representing the classic generation, the 3-year-olds, and more of those in a minute. But Matty Playle, Almacam was so good at Sandown that he's going to be a strong, strong favourite for this Group 2, I think.
Yeah, I'm finding it hard to look past him, if I'm honest, Graham. You know, if you look at that one performance, he's got some good form in the book from last year, but he's clearly improved with age, and this was just a spectacular beating of Ombudsman. I don't think Ombudsman had too many excuses, to be honest. Probably not just Cherry Ripe, but you could give that argument for Almacam as well. And it's just very straightforward, very tough, very likeable. It's going to be easy to position in this race. I think the track's going to suit him, and they're looking back from the Juddmonte International, so you'd expect a very bold showing.
And he's in the ground
Yeah.
good to soft as we speak at York. So he's got a huge amount in his favour. And it's not just that Ombudsman polished the form at Sandown. The first two were clear of two horses rated 112. So it looks really solid. Now, Maddie, get the stat of the day jingle ready, please, because I know John Blantz is about to make the case for Stanhope Gardens, who ran really well in the Derby. But you have to go back to 2006 and Best Alibi for the last 3-year-old to win this. John, make your case.
That's fair enough. It's an interesting point, but I think the allowance will definitely help Stanhope Gardens. We left the Derby all those weeks ago thinking that he'd been the unluckiest in the run. If you go back through it, he was in a terrible position virtually the whole way, not only in terms of the pace dynamics, but he was boxed in, he couldn't get out, he was having to elbow his way into a position. He stayed on pretty well that day. Back to the 10 furlongs. I think he's got a very good chance with that 3-year-old allowance. This race can get messy. Last 4 years, 120%, 110%, 110%, 112%. If it's a real sprint as well, that might just suit him too. So I think he's got a good chance.
He made a big move from 3 out to 1 out, and it's possible its stamina was just ebbing away late on. This looks a very suitable trip for him on easy ground.
Yeah, I think he's got a very, very good chance. It's interesting. He hasn't been on the track since then, so I think there's the definite potential for improvement. Not saying he'll win, but I think you might give Almacam something to think about.
Bay City Roller was a good 2-year-old. He seems to have trained on well. He ran well at Sandown, and he came up against pretty smart horse in France last time, so he goes there with a place chance at least.
Definitely, Graham. Yeah, second to Opera Ballo in the Heron Stakes. I thought that was a strong Heron Stakes, and the winner has gone on to win since. Looks a very smart prospect indeed. And then second to Darius last time, who was also on the march and being considered for the Juddmonte International and the Arc. So when you consider that Bay City Roller got pretty close to him, gave him a brief fright, I think he's going to be a main contender here.
Maddie, get that stat of the day jingle ready again. I'm going to give you one last chance to bail from Stanhope Gardens, John, but you're going to stand firm, I know you are.
I'm going to stand firm here. This is the time of the year when 3-year-olds can do well against the older generation as well, so I'm hoping that's just an outlier. Stanhope Gardens on top, Almacam in there for second. Green Impact we need to mention as well. 6th in 2 classics and ran pretty well in between. And Bay City Roller in there for 4th, but I'm going to go with Stanhope Gardens.
Can't believe he can't have Almacam on top. He's the one for me, number 1, followed by 5, 4 and 3.
1, 2, 7, 6 for me. Keep it simple with Almacam. I think he's just the best horse in the race. Certain lad for value. He tends to creep under the radar, and he might just do so again. 7 and 6 as backup. 1, 2, 7, 6. Almacam on top. Big time handicap race 4 at Ascot on King George Day. It's 1,400 metres straight. Big field, widely competitive for the Moet and Chandon International Handicap. All sorts of informed horses here. Let's have a look at a few. Northern Express, great record in this, and won it last year. Further down, Acadian Thunder excelled at the Royal Meeting in defeat and maybe had an excuse last time. Oliver Shaw, I think, has some headgear for the first time after a dull performance last time. Fresh, bit like Northern Express. Extremely good record in this particular race. Billy Joe was favourite for this race last year, ran well at Newmarket last time. Alto ran even better in the Bunbury Cup, and he is potentially a well-handicapped horse. Couple down at the bottom to mention, Classic is banging form after an all-the-way Sandown win, and Sword is mercurial, but he's very, very capable. Let's kick straight off here with one of the key galloping clues, John Blantz and Matty Playle. You can both talk about this race in your turn, because Northern Express won this race last year with fresh third. and you like both horses between you.
Yeah, it was very predictable, me, Graham. We did this 12 months ago. We're doing it again today. Northern Express on top. He won this from gate 1 on the speed throughout. He made all, actually. Now, those two things don't happen very often at Ascot. There was a bit of a draw scenario. I don't want to talk about the draw at Ascot. I'll be here all day. But this horse ran really, really well to win it last year. He's still in very good form. I don't think he ran too badly here 2 starts ago. And I think from a much better position as well. I'm hoping they stay grandstand side. And if they do, Northern Express will be in a good posse.
Maddie, these figures, Northern Express in this race are 4-4-1 and fresh. Well, he won this in 22 and he's third in 24. So talk about race specialists here.
Yes, they're the ones I'm siding with. I like Northern Express as well, but I just went for a bit of value. I was value hunting and I came down on Fresh, who's back down to his last winning mark. As you say, won this race in 2022. And he's just got a tremendous Ascot record. 4 wins here. Trained by a trainer, James Fanshawe, who just excels with handicappers on this straight track. And he's got loads in his favour, Graham. I think Northern Express as well is going to be dangerous. That 7th in the Buckingham Palace was a pretty good effort. But Fresh will be a bigger price, and I think he could be the one.
What we didn't touch on in that Northern Express video we just saw was poor old Alto getting a torrid run in 9th. He would have been right on the heels of the principals with a good run. Let's pick up last time out. Bunbury Cup. He came up against one of the most progressive horses in Britain, More Thunder. Travelled beautifully, looked all the while like he was going to win and was nailed late on. Put it to you, chaps, this is the best handicapped horse in the race. The handicapper could frame these weights again. He would give Alto £5 more to carry. And I think he has William Buick for the first time.
Yeah, that's not no bad thing at all. Draw's a little bit dodgy. That could turn out to be total nonsense analysis when they all break out of the stalls. We'll wait and see. He does tend to reserve his absolute best, though, for Newmarket, that Bunbury Cup. How he was allowed to go 40-1 a couple of starts ago in the Bunbury Cup, I will never, last time out in the Bunbury Cup, I'll never know. Yeah, he's going to go well. He's not quite my numbers, but I might regret it.
Let's have a look at the Buckingham Palace, Matty. It's Acadian Thunder. As we know, this was a heavily draw-dependent race. You had to be very high. You had to be near the stands rail. Acadian Thunder ran into a buzzsaw in that Andrew Balding horse who won. He ran an excellent race for 2nd. Northern Express wasn't beaten far into 7th. Yorkshire was 6th. Acadian Thunder last time in the Bunbury Cup, he was caught on the wing and he hung. I think we can forgive his Newmarket run.
I think, yeah, you definitely can. He's going the right way and he's a younger horse, so there's potentially more miles in his legs. But in this case, Graham, I'm happier to go with the older horses who are coming down the handicap rather than the young ones are going up, purely because I think there could be a bit more value in there. And yeah, Acadian Thunder, he's got to overcome that run last time.
Classic has been progressing nicely over a mile, just has a £3 penalty for his Sandown win. I thought he got the saloon passage that day, John. Would you agree?
He did, yeah. It's interesting. They seem to have tried lots of different tactics with this horse. Once hold up horse, now they decide to go forward with him. There's not as much pace in this race as you might think. So I've got him in the numbers. He's progressive and he might just get into a position where he won't necessarily win, but there might not be too many getting past him in the latter stages.
It's a bottle of Moet and Chandon for anyone who can snag the Quinella here. John, your numbers, please.
Well, it's going to be Northern Express on top. Horse number 4 for me. Arcadian Thunder in there for 2nd. Arcadian Thunder, never so brave, of course, won the Summer Mile here a couple of weeks ago, so really franked that form. Classic 19 in for 3rd. Dear old Fresh for 4th.
Yeah, Classic. I wonder if he's a Sandown horse. He's a little bit quirky. I'm not sure whether he'll be able to replicate that win, but I can understand why you've got him in your numbers, gents. It's number 10, Fresh, on top for me. I think he will be fresh, and he's going to run in a massive race here, followed by 4, 16 and 13.
A Magnum, maybe even a Jeroboam, if we can land the trio. Alto for me, just a well-handicapped horse. 16-7. My wild one is Oliver Show, who didn't show in the Buckingham Palace. He's a bit moody, but at his best, he's very capable. And 10, 16, 7, 8, and 10 for the big 1,400-metre handicap on King George Day. Welcome back to Ascot. We're going to look at race 5 on King George Day. This is a red-hot mile, straight mile, 1,600-metre handicap, and lots of Royal Ascot form and very solid form on show, not least for a number 1 Bullet Point, who ran a screamer in the Hunt Cup right on the far side. Bo Pedro was just behind him. He hardly ever wins, but he's in great form at the moment. Sisyphean is a horse I like. I think he's a front runner who can run a big race here. Further down, Supido and Fear Not both ran very well in defeat in a strong Britannia handicap. In that same Britannia handicap, there was no room at the inn for Taroom. That was a forgive performance. Hickory has a good record here. Cozy Bello is the potential improver. Only had 3 runs and going places. Mythical Guest is in great nick. All sorts of points to start here, but the bullet point is a good starting point. He's made good strides, Maddie and John, this year, hasn't he?
He certainly has, and that was a really good run in the Royal Hunt Cup. On the speed throughout, and a really well-run race. There were 2 drawn over the far side, ran well. 2 drawn on the near side. Again, we won't go into the draw situation. The bullet point ran really, really well. This is an interesting beast, this race as well, because most Ascot handicaps on the straight track really test stamina, but this has been a bit fiddly in the past. Last year they came home at 110%. It was a real crawl. There's not much pace in this race. Bullet point will find it a lot easier to lead the whole way this time round than he did in the Royal Hunt Cup. Difficult to pass.
You like him as well, don't you, Maddie?
Totally agree, yeah. I think although he was, it was split, wasn't it, in the Hunt Cup, the draw. If you were high or low, that was the place to be. But I just think he was out in front on his own for a long time. He was asked to go for a long time. And I think you can mark up his performance on that basis. It's not easy to make most in those big handicaps. And he did that the time before as well at Newmarket. My Cloud, I think, could be a potential Group 1 miler for sure. So the fact that Bullet Point managed to nearly beat him on the different side of the track, I think it's a real, real advertisement for what he can do. And I think it'll be really tough to beat him here.
Here comes some more Royal Ascot form. Again, it's the straight mile. This was the Britannia handicap. Have a look in the white colours, in the firing line from a good way out. Fear Not. Excellent performance and defeat. Not far behind him, Supino. And if you look on the rail in the yellow colours, meeting no luck in running whatsoever, that is Taroom. So that could be a key galloping clue. And these 3-year-olds might be still on the upgrade compared to the older horses. We go from the Britannia to 1 run back for Taroom. And this, John, is what Taroom can do when he gets smooth sailing. Yellow colours, sweeps through on the outside at Haydock, wins a valuable handicap in tidy style.
Yeah, and it was this performance which then catapulted him towards the top of the Britannia Stakes market, where he was a little bit unlucky. So yeah, I actually haven't got him in. It could be an error. But he might not get the really strong gallop to aim at in the here as he got in the Britannia, but he's a dangerous one to leave out.
I'm going to make the case for Sisyphean, however you pronounce it. If you look back at the Hunt Cup, he was drawn in no man's land, really, right in the middle, and he did quite well to last so long. He went to York last time, and he came up against an improver in Ramuz, travelled beautifully on the speed, went down fighting. Bo Pedro is tight in there as well. So that is one of my key galloping clues. I know that you two both like Bullet Point, but expand. I don't want bullet points here, John. I want a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, Bullet Point on top 1, 8 Fear Not in for second. Sisyphean, it was a good run at York, you talked about there, in for third. And dear old Bo Pedro, very rarely wins, but he always runs good races at really good prices as well. He's a must for exotics.
Maddie, give me 4 bullet points here.
The same top 2 as John. 1 Bullet Point followed by 8 Fear Not. 12 Cozy Bello, second at Chester last time, but had to wait for room. I think it's significant that Charlie Fellows sends him here. He's a really nice young horse. Followed by 11 Hickory. Surprise winner here earlier on in the season, but he likes this track. I think he's going to run well again.
These two have a really good day. I'm in a bit of trouble here because I'm opposing them all over the shop. 5 Sisyphean is on top for me. 12 Cozy Bello really caught the eye in defeat at Chester last time. Stable haven't had many winners this season, Charlie Fellows, but he's going the right way. 9 Taroom and 3 Bo Pedro for the reasons John outlined. Another red hot Ascot handicap. Good luck in the Betfred handicap, race 5 on King George Day. Okay, let's get into the feature race this weekend at Ascot. It's 2,400 metres, one of Europe's stellar middle distance races for 3-year-olds and older horses. It is the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and we have a famous 5 Group 1 winners on deck. Let's have a look at the race card. Calandagan, took him a while to get his Group 1. He did so in tremendous style in France last time out. Continuous is a classic winner, St. Leger winner a couple of years ago. How the mighty have fallen. He's the pacemaker these days. 4, Jan Bruegel, who is a little bit quirky, but he gets the job done. And a nice angle to this, he's by Galileo. He's perhaps the last top-quality Galileo running around. And this Saturday will be 24 years since Galileo got the better of an epic duel with Fantastic Light in this very race. Rebels Romance, multi-Group 1 winner, 7 of them all over the world, including Hong Kong, and Kalpana, dominant against fillies here last October, and she's looked as good as ever in defeat. Let's start with Rebels Romance, Maddie and John. Start with you on this horse, Maddie. He's been a tremendous servant to Godolphin over the years, and in a Group 2 race with no penalty at Royal Ascot. Well, he took advantage of favourable weights.
He's a proper friend, isn't he, to both William Buick and Charlie Appleby. He was doing Charlie Appleby a favour. He'd not had a Royal Ascot winner in a couple of years, but Rebels Romance debuffed that in the Hardwick Stakes. And Hong Kong race fans will, of course, know him from when he came over there last year and won the Champions in Chater Cup. He's just unflappable, and he's looked as good as ever this season. They experimented by going up to 1.6 miles at York. They're not going to do that again. I think the Canadian International's in their sights, so he's going to go globetrotting again. But it would be magnificent if he could get a British Group 1 on his CV.
Maddie, get that stat of the day jingle going again as I throw to John Blantz here. Enable, Swain, Huckham, all won the King George, age 6. This race has been going for 3/4 of a century now, 75 years or thereabouts. No 7-year-old has ever won it. Can Rebels Romance beat the big 2, big 3 here?
I'd like to see him do it. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I don't think he can. It was a really good run in the Hardwick Stakes. As Maddie said, the Charlie Appleby horses weren't going very well. You could see the relief on William Buick's face and Appleby's face when he actually won that race. A lot will be said about how he didn't win this race last year, but he was far too close to a ridiculous gallop there, and he ran extremely well. If either of the top 2 aren't on their game, this fellow will take advantage. I haven't got him on top, but he's a horse I really respect.
I also think, Graham, he was a bit of a stat buster in the Hardwick. Not many 7-year-olds had attempted that race, and he busted that. Also, I think the pace setup could suit him here. Continuous, he's been slow away the last couple of times. He's got blinkers and he is the pacemaker, but he might not go flying off. Rebels Romance, if he sits just off that, he could get a much better sit than last year when, as John says, he just went too soon.
Yeah, stop spoiling my stats, Maddie, as we move on to Kalpana. And we pick up Kalpana last time out against a really, really progressive 3-year-old filly. Well, in the Group 1 Pretty Polly Stakes, over 2,000 metres at the Curragh. I thought Kalpana, if anything, polished her reputation here. Look at the way she looms up on the outside in the Juddmonte colours, but with the inside rail to help and the pace set up perfect, Whirl finds extra. She was trying to give Whirl £12 here. I think Kalpana is a danger to all of them here. She's been trained with this race and the Arc in mind, and I think she's a top 2 contender for sure.
I think she's a very, very interesting contender. Obviously, the small field, slightly muddling pace that may ensue, we don't know. That might be against her, but any further rain as well would definitely help, given what she did here back in October. And yes, I think Whirl is a very, very progressive horse, and it was a difficult task for Kalpana to concede that weight. So it'll be very interesting to see how she gets on Saturday afternoon.
Top 2 or 3 for you, Kalpana?
4.
Really?
Yes, I think she's done so little wrong, so it feels hard to say it, but I do think off the weights, if you look at it from a numbers, off the numbers statistics angle, she's still got a little bit to find.
Let's move on to what the market will suggest are the big 2 here, and let's pick them up at Epsom in the Coronation Cup. This was a fascinating tactical battle between Ryan Moore on Jan Bruegel and Mikhail Barcelona on Calandagan. And first thing to remember here, this was a serious test of stamina. Epsom is strongly uphill for a long way. The ground was good to soft. Continuous did his pacemaking job perfectly for Jan Bruegel. And having looked sure to be swamped, Jan Bruegel, as he tends to do, he's won 4 group races, this horse, by a neck, and half a length at Epsom. They put in cheap pieces on him, John. He's in a very small club of Group 1 winners last time who get headgear the next time.
So clearly Coolmore are slightly worried about that kind of... He's not desperately aesthetically pleasing, is he? He sort of lugs around in his races. You often think he's vulnerable here, but then when he's really required to find something, he does. I thought Calandagan was sort of lugging on the camber a little bit at Epsom too. I think on a more conventional track, the French horse might have gone past. It's unwise to assume that Jan Bruegel has a history, as you say, of just doing what he needs to do, and he might be able to do it again on Saturday.
Maddie, take us to Saint-Cloud last time. Calandagan had been second in multiple Group 1s last year and this. He got his chance. Goliath didn't run his race in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud, but he took on Junco and Aventure and he beat them hollow. And what this horse has is a turn of foot, which is what you need in a small field Group 1.
Exactly that, Graham. Couldn't have said it better. I think the overall body of form that he's got eclipses what Jan Bruegel has. And I know that Jan Bruegel beat him last time, but I think there are extenuating circumstances for Calandagan there. He was slowly away at Epsom. Not so much at Saint-Cloud last time, right back to his best. Showed loads of zip to zip past a good filly in Aventure. That's Arc form from last year. And I just think he is the ultimate class act in this race. We know this track suits him so well. Of course, he won the King Edward VII here, and so unlucky not to win the Champion Stakes in October as well. He's on top for me.
Famous 5 Group 1 winners, as we said at the top. Now, we know that Whirlpool punters have never seen a Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien Group 1 winner that they don't like. Let's hope they pile into Jan Bruegel here, John, because that will open the door for Calandagan. Give us your famous 4 in George.
I mean, obviously I do like Calandagan, but then again, we all could look a bit silly if Jan Bruegel toughs it out and proves very difficult to pass in a sort of difficult tactical setup. But I do like Calandagan. I still remember that tremendous King Edward VII Stakes performance here last year, and he was desperately unlucky in the Champion Stakes, and he reeled off some incredible sectionals when he's behind City of Troy in the Juddmonte as well. He's a world-class performer. I won't have it that he's ungenuine. He's just been a little bit unlucky with 1 or 2 pace setups. Hopefully he'll get his Group 1 here in the UK that he deserves.
So on your numbers, please.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Calandagan on top. Then I've got the 4 Rebels Romance in for second, 3 in for third, and 5 in for fourth.
Those cheap pieces on Jan Bruegel, do they worry you? They slightly concern me. What are the Coolmore and the Ballydoyle team reaching for? They know that he could be vulnerable in this tactical setup. I think Calandagan could take advantage. It's 1 on top for me, followed by 3, 4 and 5.
I'm in a minority, I suspect. I still think Jan Bruegel is tricky. I really do. So he's only 4th on my top 4 line. I think he'll beat a stablemate, continuous. But it's 1, 5, 4 and 3. And Allez France with Calandagan in the King George. 2 races to go at Ascot on King George. Day race 7 is a tightly knit handicap. It's all the same course and distance as the King George. Round course, stiff 1.5 miles, 2,400 metres. Let's have a look at a few key players. Venezuelan has tons of ability. He also has 1 or 2 little quirks, and maybe that's why they've gone for the headgear. Tenability, well, it's hard to guess how good he might be, but he bolted up in an ordinary race at Windsor. Criminal is a horse, I think, who might have a fair bit better to give. Corredo King won last time with headgear on for the first time. Will it work again? And Bohemian Breeze also arrives from a hard-earned win, in his case at Brighton. Let's kick off, I think, with this Corredo King. It's a Gosden horse with a win against his name last time. We pick him up at Haydock, and I wonder what you think about this, guys. He was blinkered for the first time. It was a 6th run. He was kept wide in the straight, away from the main body of runners. He hung left. He just got home in a 3-way go. Will the blinkers work a second time? I'm prepared to take a chance that they might not. I don't think it was a good race. He was hard at work, and he's got blinkers second time. A horse who's got blinkers first time is Venezuelan, John, and he's shown a touch of class and also 1 or 2 slight quirks.
Well, yeah, I think 1 or 2 of these, we've mentioned the likes of Tenability, who could have lots of improvement to come, but Venezuelan has pretty much shown a decent level of form. This is only a 0-80 handicap, Graham. And the interesting thing as well is, initially there was quite a bit of pace engaged in this race in the 5 days, but quite a lot of the potential front runners or pace pressurizers have come out. I think Venezuelan will get into a nice prominent posse. From gate 8 as well, we talked about the draw in these 1.5-mile races at Royal Ascot. Sometimes the wider the better, so I think should take up a nice posse.
So we talked about a couple of potentially tricky characters, so it's highly appropriate that we go not to another tricky character, but a character who likes a horse called Criminal.
Steady on.
This Criminal is progressive, though, isn't he?
Yeah, very progressive. A little bit of a different take here from me. It's not often that a rider of William Buick's calibre gets to ride for Richard Hughes. When they've paired up throughout Buick's career, 19% strike rate. So what does it say that Richard Hughes has managed to get him to ride him here? If you look when he was 3rd at Chester over 1 mile, 2 furlongs and half a furlong, he was 3rd, and he was really keeping on, staying on in the closing stages. I think this step up in trip is going to be perfect for him. He's the son of Steve the Moon, who gets real stamina influence in his progeny. Just think he could be well handicapped, and because he's not got a win by his name, people might underestimate him.
He went back in distance at Wolverhampton, and he finished good place behind Naran and Cajole, who both polished that form handsomely. So I think he might be an improver here. Any others we should mention? Tenability, I'll take the floor with him. He didn't show massive amount of promise on his first couple of runs, but he's by Franco, and he really clicked at Windsor. He absolutely bolted up. Now, I do think it was a very ordinary race, but he's a haggis, lightly raced, well-bred improver who's bound to be popular in the market, and with good reason. So this is an unusual race. It's not the deepest race on the card, John, but that doesn't make it that much easier to solve.
No, it's not. I'm going to go with Venezuela on top for the reasons that I gave. So that's horse number 2. Corridor King in there for second, but there are reservations about him. If any horse wins by about 5 lengths on the bride, it'll be Tenability. Got that one in for third. And Bohemian Breeze, actually, Oisin Murphy was jocked up to ride this one. Now doesn't. Tom Queally gets aboard for the Moors. It was an interesting run at Brighton. Brighton form doesn't often translate to Ascot, but it might do here for a minor position. But I do like Venezuela on top.
Slightly different take with Criminal, number 4 on top, given the trainer and the jockey combination. Just think the stepping trip could show him to really nice effect, Graham. And hopefully we'll get a decent price about him on the Whirlpool as well. Followed by 3, Tenability, so impressive at Windsor last time. The case has made itself. William Haggis always has winners at this time of year, and he's got a lovely pedigree, followed by 6 and 2.
Yeah, 3, 4, 2, 6 for me. I don't think we'll get a great price about Tenability, but as John said, there's a blot on the handicap. It could be him. Criminal, for the reasons Maddie's outlined. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. 2 and 6. 3, 4, 2 and 6 for race 7. Okay, the last of our 10 Whirlpool races this Saturday is at Ascot. We'll need a glass of Whispering Angel after this if we haven't got a winner or two. It's a 1,000-metre hot handicap up the straight course here at Ascot. Some old favourites, including a Ram, a byword for consistency, largely over 1,200. Tropical Storm is in his first ever handicap here. Good quality sprinter. Vintage Clarets has been knocking hard for quite a while now. Azure Angel is speedy, bang in form. Likewise, Emperor Spirit. Glamorous Breeze has the ability to go well at a price for Gina Mangan. King of Stars comes back from a lengthy break. Rhythm and Hooves is a former Royal Ascot winner who hasn't really been hitting the heights recently. Let's start with one towards the top of the race card. It's Oisin Murphy. Tropical Storm, as I touched on, John, this is the first time he's ever contested a handicap. We pick him up, recording a career best in a York listed race in May.
Yeah, and this is a very nice performance. Obviously not a particularly big field, but a good quality one. Travelled beautifully just in behind the speed and then really picked it up nicely in the latter stages on the far side of the track there at York, which is the place to be, but the whole field were there. And then, yeah, the King Charles III was a bit of a tilt at a windmill. I think this is very interesting. They could have gone elsewhere with this horse this weekend. Gate 11 as well. I think it's a lovely draw. If they stay towards the grandstand rail, Graham, and if they do, Tropical Storm will be there or thereabouts.
July handicap here at Ascot. 3 horses we can mention here. Highlighted Masafi. Glamorous Breeze hits the line in 5th. Rhythm and Hooves in 7th. You like Glamorous Breeze to run well at a price here, Maddie, I think?
Yeah, this was a bit of a muddling finish. We saw Al Zahir, the winner. We spoke about him earlier. He was really well positioned. The opposite is true of Glamorous Breeze. Further behind, could be spotted some way out, travelling really strongly. And although this mare has lots of experience, she's really improved her form recently, and I think she's in a really good place. Mark up that performance last time against the pace bias, and I just think she's going to run a real big race here, back over a course and distance that she likes.
Short list is a pretty long list here. Let's have a look at this race last year. Winding the clock back, Emperor Spirit was in really good form this day. He's been in a few good hotels, this fella. He's been with the Gosdens. He's been with Robert Cowell. He's been with Archie Watson. But this Michael Keedy is making waves at the moment. This is last year when he beats Albar Al-Bashir in a hot renewal. And recently, his first run for Michael Keedy, he got the job done tidily on the July course at Newmarket. And the second and the third horses have polished that form. So we've had a look at a few key videos. Thanks for all your insight in a 10-race bonanza for the Whirlpool, John and Maddie. If you will, crack this final puzzle of the day.
Well, I'm going to go with Tropical Storm on top, the 2 horse. I think the class drop is ideal. A Ram down in trip. You can't ignore him. He's a real Whirlpool favourite. Rhythm and Hooves. Maddie made the excellent point about how that race was run here back a couple of weeks ago. I think Rhythm and Hooves wasn't exactly convenienced by that either. That's number 14 for 3rd. Emperor Spirit in for 4th. That's 2, 1, 14 and 8.
Glamorous Breeze is going to be a big price here, I think, Graham, but she can run a brilliant race. Number 10, followed by 8, Emperor Spirit. Like you, I like him. That was a great performance at Newmarket's July course last time out. Michael Keedy is a brilliant trainer, so keep him on your radar. Followed by 1 and 12, sneakily, could run well at a big price.
Here we go again. I've got one that these two don't even have in the top 4. It's Vintage Clarets for me, number 5. He ran a place way back in the Coventry Stakes here in 2021. Several other good runs in defeat at Ascot, and he's banging form after going down fighting at Newcastle last time. Warren Fentiman claims a valuable 5. 5, 1, a Ram, 8, Emperor Spirit, 6, Azure Angel. Thank you for watching the Whirlpool previews for King George Day from Ascot and York. We wish you all the best in what's going to be a memorable and lengthy afternoon.